What is up, guys? It's Zam here, and I am so happy that I am able to stream this because let me tell you guys about something stupid that I just did. So, I was trying to borrow my brother's phone that is old and he no longer uses, and I had that uber brilliant idea, or what I thought was a brilliant idea, of taking my phone's SIM card, thinking that by me installing that SIM card into his old phone would make it have cellular access. But of course, his phone turned out to be locked. And on top of that, once I pulled the SIM card, it was asking for me to plug it into iTunes. And I was not expecting for that to happen at all because what I was doing was something very simple. I was just trading SIM cards. So, anyways, I spent the last hour trying to get my phone to be back to being normal. And to do that, I had to tap on my brother's door, like, uh, I'm glad that you're awake because I sort of have an emergency, and that is I am a nobody and a nothing right now without my phone, and I don't want to wait until tomorrow to go to Sprint and possibly even them not being open, and it would just be a whole load of trouble for me to be without my phone because everything that I need is on my phone now. So, but anyways, fortunately that got sorted and now I know to not be removing SIM cards unless I have iTunes access. And hello, JP. But anyways, on to the topic that I have prepared for today. This occurred to me yesterday, but unfortunately, I didn't have the time to really stream it. And I was just having a thought about the things that happen in my day and what makes them challenging and what doesn't make them challenging and what it actually takes for my day to be upset, if you can call it that. So I divided this into three or four categories, and definitely the first one that I want to start off with is work. What makes a work day difficult for me? And as I share my opinions, I hope that you guys share with me what makes your day difficult at your job. So for me, schedule conflicts. That's the number one thing because it just sucks that there is so much to do and you cannot count on the manpower to make stuff happen. It's like you can walk into your shift and everything wrong in life will happen and you realize that you're just very short-handed and people aren't patient. People don't like to wait, especially in retail. So when your lines are backing up and people are having issues and you just need overall support and there's no one to give it because everyone else is busy making sure that their departments don't fall apart, that is particularly uh draining for me. It doesn't really upset me 100% because fortunately I'm not in a position of management where I have to worry about making the schedule, but unfortunately ineffective schedules do affect me as a worker because I end up getting more tired. I am the one who is giving the face to the customer. So they're going to ask me what is going on. And of course, I don't have the right tools to answer that question because I'm also not supposed to be discussing that. So I just don't like it when there are schedule conflicts like that. And some of them are out of your control. Like recently, someone I work with was in a car crash. And during that time, someone else had their mother fall ill. So they were looking for a hospital for her, and now that colleague is off work indefinitely. So that's two people down. And then on top of that, it's the summertime, so people had requested time off in advance and it had been approved. So it's not like you can suddenly pull someone who's on vacation to come back to work a few days because we have a tight situation. So little things like that, it's like, wow, what do you do? But you shouldn't have to write it out, but for some reason, that is what is expected of you. So with schedule conflicts and having little help, I would say that can make a day difficult for me. And in addition, something that is the consequence a lot of the times of schedule conflicts is when people have bad attitudes. But sometimes bad attitudes have nothing to do with the schedule. Bad attitudes can also come, hey Jimmy, from the customers themselves or people who have absolutely nothing to do directly with my work. But also, your colleagues can have a negative attitude. Like, we might have that person who is constantly not interested in doing work and they're just apathetic and they complain a lot and that sort of rubs off on you. Fortunately, I'm someone who, when someone is venting to me, it's like, okay, you can tell me whatever it is that you want, but if you're looking for me to, I was looking for something. If you're looking for me to agree with you and support you and even join you in the rebellion, I'm not that person. So what can I say? Everything in everyone's lives could be better, but if you have a negative attitude about it, it makes me less likely to want to be around you. And I just don't like that because I like to harvest positive energy before I go into work. And also, while I am at work, I do things that help me maintain my positivity because you do need a lot of just mental strength to make it to the through the day, especially if you're having physical challenges. Like for me, my feet are still not doing any better, and that is a pain that is constantly there. And on top of that, I also have other physical issues going on, but I don't let that get to me. So I get it. We can all have our days in which we're down, but to dwell on that, that's what I have a problem with. I'm pretty sure that there's more to your life than the time that you have spent there or that you spend in the building, which compared to the rest of the day, it's only like a third of the day if you work an 8 hour shift. So you'll be fine. I hear you. It's difficult when you deal with people day to day. And that too, when I'm someone who I can do people in small servings. It's like, what can I say? I can do a shift and then I go home and sometimes I need a day to recover or 2 days to recover and sometimes you have to work stretches and it's like I am definitely in the wrong career because although I have the charisma and the good communication skills to handle this, I just do not enjoy the presence of people who occasionally can become unreasonable just because they want to have something their way. So, being in a position where I don't own the place and I cannot get into an argument with the person, it just annoys me because there's just a lot of things that I wish I could say to people. Like, no, you think that I'm stupid just because I don't have a degree, but you trying to be condescending is what is irritating. So, but anyways, and what is wrong with my feet? Well, about 2 months ago, my heels have been in horrible, terrible, unbearable pain. I have tried insoles, I have tried different shoes, I have tried not being on my feet at all on my time off from work. But unfortunately, when you work on your feet a lot and sometimes you have to stand in one spot for long periods of time, the fatigue mat can only do so much for you. But sometimes you get pulled to do other things to where you don't have the fatigue mat anymore. And basically, that hard retail floor, when you're a customer, you don't really think about it. That when you spend maybe 15 minutes to 30 minutes moving around picking up groceries, that's different from spending 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, with only a 30-minute break during the span of 6 years. That mess will catch up with you. And that is what's happening to me now. Everybody, absolutely everybody who I work with who has worked at that place for long term, they all have physical problems. Most of them have back problems, and everybody says that their feet hurt. So I don't feel so terrible, but I just don't like the fact that's happening to me. Do you wear heels? No. I do not even know how to walk on heels, and even if I did, I never opt for that. And during my time off, if you look at my closet, I have nothing but tennis shoes, walking shoes, running shoes, and sneakers and stuff like that. So there's a video idea as I'm walking in heels. What if I told you that there is already that video and I am wearing this actually? It's that video I made about what models look like to me. Modeling. Just look up the word modeling on my channel and it should turn up. I did it about a year ago. But yeah, what can I say? I just it caught up to me my physical problems. Like constantly being on that floor for 8 hours a day, just it's terrible. And in addition, I'm having pain in my knees as well, and it gets better immediately when I sit down or when I go home. So when I think about it, that's actually another thing that some of my coworkers have said. And most of the older folks have had to have like knee replacement, and this is the kind of job that they have had forever. And their feet, they have had surgery done. So it's like, I don't want for that to happen to me. So I am going to have a conversation with my manager and be like, hey, why are you giving me full-time hours when I deliberately avoid that to take care of my health? I've been gaining weight because I don't have time to do anything anymore in my day. And you're also giving me crazy hours. I'm also having difficulty sleeping because the stuff that I need to get to in my day that I'm not getting to, it just keeps piling up. So I'm going to ask for them to reduce my hours. And it's not a very smart move, of course, because it's expensive to be alive. but what can I say? This is exactly why I have been very selective about my schedule, my hours, my position. So if I'm suffering physical consequences, then it's time for things to change. And I did not have that problem. I did not have that problem. We need to find you a good desk job. You know, I would love that, but at the same time, I'm someone who likes to move a lot. But my ideal job would be one in which I can have different tasks throughout the day, as opposed to, say, since I'm a cashier, then I can have a shift in which all I'm doing is running a register. Other times I work in the office, so all I gotta do is sit and count money, but then I have tasks in between that, such as walks and take logs for certain things, and I'm like, no. You know, why are you interrupting my task, which is pretty tedious, to give me some more stuff on the side, you know? So, anyways, I guess that would make a day difficult for me. Other people stress, having little help, bad attitudes, schedule conflicts. And in addition, when you start having physical pain, discomfort, and even though they say that you can take your break at any time, come on, if you have like 700 people waiting to be checked out, I don't think you really care for me to be going on break. Even though they say that if you feel like you need to take your break, you can just go ahead and take it. And in meetings, it has been discussed that we felt that we cannot really take breaks. And then the managers were saying, oh, if you guys feel like you need to take a break, take a break. And I'm like, well, usually the best time for us to take a break is when it starts getting crazy. So you are trying to empower us, but at the same time, when the moment of truth comes, it doesn't happen because you are telling us that during a meeting, which is a relaxed setting, versus the moment of truth when all hell is breaking loose, You start making decisions and you're not able to live up to the stuff that you promised. So just be careful about the info that you share and deliver, because if you won't be able to live up to it, just don't fucking say it, you know? So, in addition, when some people are just intolerant of things, and it's not just tolerance from the attitude perspective, it's pain tolerance. For example, there are some people who, I get it, you have health problems, it sucks, I have health problems that I don't get to have addressed or checked out, and I'm even unaware of, whereas you, who has access to health insurance because of your position, you get to find out what is wrong with you. You never hear me really bitching about it except maybe once a month, but then every day you're telling me about how terrible your life is. I'm sorry, but I'm someone who does not think that anybody's tragedy is worse than anybody else. So it's like, if you have very little pain tolerance, I don't know what to tell you. But for me, the only way that you'll tell that's getting in my way is if I'm physically passing out, which it has happened a few times while I'm at work. But you don't even see it coming. I can start my day with my usual behavior, and then all of a sudden it's like I don't feel well, and next thing I know I just pass out. So, I wish that people were a little stronger physically, because there's people who just complain and complain day and night, and I'm like, do you think that anybody else does not experience this? Like, ask people, talk to people, ask them, how are you feeling? They're probably gonna say, oh, I'm sleepy, oh, I'm tired, oh, my feet hurt, oh, I have allergies, oh, I have sinus infections. Name it. We are all going through stuff. So those people who are going through stuff but they don't express it, I consider them strong, because it's like they're pushing through no matter what, overcoming their challenges, going about their day, and they're not voicing that negativity onto you. So just be a little more tolerant of that stuff. There's people who they can just barely bump against, I don't know, a wall or something, and they're like, ouch, like so dramatic about it. You're fine. Unless your arm or leg is just falling off, I do not believe that you're in a serious situation. See what I mean? But then maybe that's just my terrible side, just speaking, and you guys know that I have no feelings, no empathy, no emotions. I perpetuate misogyny and all those other things that people say about me, so what do I know? But anyways, in addition, unrealistic expectations tend to make my day difficult, because there's always that one person who's like, well, last year you had so much more stuff available. You had more things going on. You had better product. You had more people working. And people don't understand that business just shifts. Like, people who are higher ups, they make decisions and they say, hey, let's try this product this year, let's try to push this, let's try to order less of this and more of this in hopes that that'll bring us more profits. Anything. So do not become too attached, or become like, just don't become too attached to something, because the moment it gets taken from you, you become such a different person. And I personally cannot imagine that at all. My favorite example that I like to think that would affect me a little bit is if I got in a car wreck and my car is totaled. Of course, they don't have that generation of the Corolla anymore. It's not being made anymore. And the newer ones, I really don't care for. So if I become too attached to my car, if I were to lose it, even though I am having it replaced by one that's more advanced, I'm not as excited about it, because I looked at my current car and I thought, okay, this is my ideal car. So just because you found your ideal product for the holidays doesn't mean that you should become overly attached to it, to where the moment it gets taken away from you, you try to say that your entire holiday season is ruined and done for. No, I do not believe you. There are options out there. And you know what? In the same manner that the manufacturer can produce that for you, to be able to just snag it off a shelf and stick it in your cart, pay for it, and take it home. It's the same manner that you personally can get the ingredients together and fix it yourself. The display may not be as pretty, but at least the product, the quality, the essence, the flavor, whatever the hell, is still there. Just learn to substitute and do not be afraid to try something that's different. For me personally, the earlier that I learned to be open to new products and ideas and possibilities, it was the moment I became happier because I realized that I have been missing out on product that's really good just because I got too comfortable with the stuff that I happened to try the first time. And I said, oh, I cannot imagine anything getting better than this. But stuff does get better. You have to try new things, you know? But, anyways, so basically, people who have unrealistic expectations and are intolerant of change can make a workday difficult for me because how can I convince this person that their life is not ending just because their favorite thing got discoed or discontinued, as we call it? So, yeah, no, your problems are not that serious, okay? But the problem is that retailers are trying to have this culture going on to where no matter what, you are supposed to make the customer's day, you're supposed to be a superhero. And I'm like, no, most people are not like that. You can do nice things that can really make their experience stand out and make their day better, but it's not like these people are going home to celebrate you. See what I mean? So it's insane to me that they're trying to really push this image of the customer's always right and we're going to do everything it takes to make them happy. I get it. They pay to for the business to survive, but you gotta admit that some lines need to be drawn urgently. Other things that make a workday difficult for me is lack of communication. I cannot tell you guys just how frustrating this is. I don't know why people are afraid of sending out emails. I don't know why people cannot print something out that they receive from the higher ups and be like, hey, this change has been implemented. Make sure that you read it, make sure that you understand it. And if you don't understand it, ask questions. Zam has a question, but management does not have an answer. So, I'm trying to be a good employee, but your materials are limited. So it's not really the fault of those at my facility. It's really a lack of communication from the higher ups. But I'm just thinking, why can you not have that information sorted? This is all done by departments. Sometimes departments that need to be communicating with each other are not communicating to each other, and then it's usually customer service that ends up suffering the most because all of that trickles down to that department because we are the ones in charge of checkout, we are the ones in charge of returns, and all that good stuff. So when our information is limited, and we don't have the proper tools to deal with certain situations, a lot of the times when we cannot diffuse a situation with a upset customer, whether it is their fault or our fault, a lot of it comes from the fact that the right stuff was not in place at the right time. So for me, when I was new at doing returns, I'm like, what is making this difficult for me? And then when I thought about it, when a customer was upset, I didn't really have a way to diffuse the situation because I was uninformed. And then when I asked about why I was uninformed, I'm thinking, oh, right, because those who are supposed to train me don't really communicate this to me. Those who are above the ones who are in charge of training me also do not tell my trainer about the stuff that is recommended that you pass on to the trainees. So it's something that is so simple, so avoidable, and so common sense. But implementing effective communication is so difficult, and it shouldn't be. We have so many tools, especially that almighty computer. You're telling me you cannot spend 2 minutes to compose a message talking about a change that is being implemented that affects departments, affects prices, affects the customer experience. See what I mean? So I think that communication is something that needs to be urgently worked on. And of course, last but not least, that I could think of is equipment malfunction. Good grief. When a register breaks down, that is a nightmare because your lines are backing up. You're having to transfer the customer who is in your line to another line. And, people are not patient. They're ready to be out of the door the moment they step into the building for some reason. And then I would like to feel empathy for those people, but at the same time, I cannot because just like I talk a lot about driving, I never drive when I'm in a hurry because when you drive in a hurry, your reflexes are not the same, your maneuverability with the car is not the same, and you're just a completely different person, and it's not worth it. And you're also putting your life at risk and other people's lives at risk. So when people who are already impatient notice that there is an equipment malfunction, they like triplicate their angry feelings and negative feelings because they're like, oh boy, the lines are already long, and now we have to deal with a register that's broken, so that means a more expected delay. Just like at airports, when you see a delay on that screen, you think that the whole world is ending because we're just impatient little creatures. We have been, in a sense, indoctrinated to be that way with all the advances that we have going on with technology, among those being transportation, communication, everything can be delivered to your house now. And we have become overall spoiled to where we cannot handle very, very small inconveniences. While I also understand that time that is wasted is something that you cannot recover, and I can see how that offends you, I still think that that is a very small price to pay. So, how about if you plan your day better? And if you have to be somewhere in 10 minutes, how about if you make sure that you take care of your shopping either the day before or earlier that day? So don't give me any excuse that you just don't have the time because it probably means that you're mismanaging it, especially your free time. And this is coming from someone who sometimes does not stream, claiming that she doesn't have time. And then when I think about it, I'm like, I made the decision of taking a nap as opposed to going on the channel and making content. So that is decisions that I made. Therefore, you too in your day are making decisions that are impacting your outcome. Be responsible for your choices and do not try to blame another party for it. So if you choose to go to the grocery store 5 minutes before your shift starts, that is your fault. But, anyways, that's just my opinion. It's possible that I'm just a terrible person, but that's the way I plan my days. So I cannot imagine me being upset about something if I'm in a customer service desk as the customer, unless you're clearly stealing from me. Like, say, if I gave you $100 bill and you're giving me change back as if I gave you only a 10, we're gonna have problems. So, so make sure that you get that sorted and audit that too. Anyways, so moving on, something that makes my days difficult at home would be messy spaces. Now, this one, I express it very, very like loosely because my room always looks like a tornado ran through it. But despite the mess, I know exactly where everything that I need, want, whatever is at. But places that I do not anticipate to be messy because I do well at keeping them clean and all that, when suddenly I arrive to those places and it's not clean and ready for me to take over, it does get annoying. And particularly so in the kitchen. I expect for the stovetop, for example, to be available if I need to fix something to eat. But sometimes the place can be a mess, and I'm like, okay, if you're being sedentary, why have you not taken care of this stuff? And it's been here for a couple of hours. Get it together. So, so basically, the only acceptable messy space in a house for me is my room. And then if I live with other people, I would say their corresponding respective rooms would be acceptable to keep messy because it's not somewhere that every other member of the household is transiting. But shared spaces, such as the bathroom, the kitchen, the dining room, I expect for those to be kept neat because those are more traffic areas and it just makes sense and it's also just the polite thing to do. Uh, oh no, passing out is not good. Oh, absolutely not. It is scary. When I worked as a cashier, I was taught to leave the money they gave me, say a $20 bill, out in view until I counted back to them their change. That is a pretty good technique, but for me personally, I try to not do that because anything can happen. And I don't like to leave money in view like that. But that's a pretty good tactic. I have considered it, but I am someone who is so incredibly focused and I trust my memory and my judgment even when stress is high. So basically, I perform well under stressful situations. That during the times when the customer has debated that I was giving them too little change for what they gave me, I was like, I remember exactly what you gave me, and I mentally do the math before the computer even tells me because sometimes it's possible that I'll push the wrong amount into the register, but it doesn't matter what I type into the computer as long as I give you the right change. So it doesn't matter if you gave me $100 bill and I type that you gave me 1,000. As long as I give you the right change, I'm going to be fine. So that's why I say I make the math, I do the math in my head now that I'm able to do it. And if there is a conflict between the answer that I have in my head versus what I'm seeing on the screen versus what the customer is saying, that's when I'm like, okay, it's possible that I fucked this up. But in my 6 years doing this job, it hasn't happened. And I don't see why it would need to start happening now. So what I do is when someone gives me, say, a 20, I leave the 20 little, what do you call that thing that pinches the bill? Anyways, I leave that thing up. And if you're giving me a bill like that, it's obvious that the change that I have to give you has to be a smaller denomination than that. So by me seeing that I left that thing up, it ensures that I am doing the right thing. You gave me this big bill, the biggest bill that is popular for me to get, which is the 20. So the change that I have to give you has to be smaller because you cannot profit of the change that I'm giving you. See what I mean? So I have my little like quirks and stuff that I just do as part of my day that helps me to avoid disasters than that. But I just love it when my manager is counting my drawer and then it turns out that it's 100% spot on, or maybe a penny or 10 cents off. And sometimes you just drop it, or sometimes I let the customer go. It's like, oh, you're 3 pennies short. Don't worry, I'll find it. And then the I'll find it is I forgot about it. but but yeah, I have my techniques in place that it's like I don't want to say I'm perfect, but come on, I have never had discrepancies in my time there. And the times that I was involved in discrepancies, I was not the only one running that drawer. So I'm pretty confident that it was someone else who was having a bad day. You were rushing, you were not counting your stuff twice. So we got caught in it together. But I'm telling you, I take great pride in everything that I do. And I call that my personal technique. It takes me years of doing something to be 100% comfortable to where I feel like I have the method that's pretty much fail safe. And that's the thing about training. In training, to me, an effective way of training people would be for you to introduce them to a technique and not just limit it to how to do the job. Explain little details, give hints. Uh, like, one of my favorite things that I have told some people is as soon as you hear someone tell you a new code, write it down. Because if you could not find it in our guide, it's possible that it's not there at all. So, as opposed to waiting for the next time this happens and causing a delay, write that mess down. Have a notepad of some sort and just keep it safe and share that information with other people. So, so that's part of communication again. Yeah, girl, I need some water, and my stomach is growling, even though I ate. Anyways, at home, other stuff that can make my day difficult is neediness. Like, come on. At some point, when you're an adult and you have been an adult for longer than I have been alive, it's kind of weird when you ask for a lot of help. So I get it. Sometimes life catches up to you and you're tired and you want to skip out on some things, but I too get tired and I too want to skip out on some things. So just don't be an incredibly needy person. You need to be able to handle something. You need to be able to handle your pet. You need to be able to handle your car's maintenance, your bills, etc. So just try to not be so needy. And another thing that I don't like is prying. Like, I don't mind being asked if I'm having a good day or how my days have been. Not at all. That is the nice thing to do. But if I express once that I'm not interested in talking about something, but then you still insist to find out what's happening, that's when I get annoyed. If I wanted to talk about it, I would have talked about it already. And no, I did not go to Chick-fil-A today. I just have one of these because it's big and it has a straw and I need water. But anyways, don't be someone who pries. I need to learn to not have the fan on when I stream because it's terrible. Another thing I don't like that goes hand in hand with prying would be nosiness. But this is different because some people are genuinely all up in your business. And you guys know that I try to be reserved on certain matters. So just because you live under the same roof doesn't entitle you to the details of another person's life, especially if they don't wish to discuss it. Of course, another thing I don't like is when people just take my stuff, especially my food. Like, if you need something, I don't mind you taking it as long as you consult me first. More than likely, I will say yes to whatever it is that you need. But for you to just take the liberty and take stuff without telling me, that upsets me. It's very disrespectful. It's also stuff that I paid for. So just don't do that. I don't do it to you. So I think my allergies are starting to hit me. Um, Entering my room when not allowed. Like, I have seen my light in my room on at nighttime when I'm pulling in from being out. And I'm like, when I left, it was daytime, so there's no way that I had the light on. And then one time I noticed that it was being turned off while I pulled in. And I'm like, holy crap, why were you in my room? Why? You cannot possibly need anything. So just don't enter my room if I'm not there, and especially if I have not allowed it ahead of time. Not that I have anything to hide, but my room is like, it's just a personal space. You don't belong in it. So I don't go to your room. Why are you going to mine? Oh my goodness. I'm telling you, I have had terrible days lately. Like, for the past 2 days, I have had an incredible sensitivity to anybody wearing any kind of perfume. Like, at any moment, it's possible that I'll sneeze. Because I came back from hanging out with my brother, and he didn't spray anything today, but I have been having the worst issues, and it just happened randomly. So bear with me while I try to keep myself clean. Ugh. Disrespecting my pets. I cannot believe that I have to say this, but I get it. Like, I have Dusty, and Dusty is Dusty. He likes to explore. He likes to demonstrate affection in painful and bloody ways because he has blades on his paws. But I get it. He's annoying sometimes, but just don't be disrespectful or mean to him. He's just being a cat. So if you're not an animal person, an animal tolerant person, you definitely do not need to be stepping a foot on this house. So again, to me, pets, even though I cannot reason with them like I can reason with people, and nowadays it's becoming more and more difficult to reason with people, just don't be mean to my pet. If you cannot tolerate them, just let me know. Hey, I would love it if I could have a limited contact with your pet. And I'm like, okay, sure. I'll find a room for him for a brief period of time, whatever, to accommodate you. But if I see you disrespecting my pet, I'll take that as disrespecting my family member, disrespecting a child almost, because Dusty, he's like a kid. So I cannot compare it to a human being, of course, but I'm just saying that is a living, breathing being that matters to me a lot. So if you're not being respectful to him, I feel disrespected. So just be careful. Be careful with my pets. Of course, an occupied kitchen that can make my day difficult because if I am like hungry, I need help, I need attention, I need to take care of my body, you're keeping my kitchen inaccessible. So that is likely to make my day difficult at home. I feel like crying. Like I have tears gathering on my eyes already. And my face, it feels like it's like itching. So I'm probably coming down with sinus problems. Last but not least, defensiveness. And what I mean by this is, let's say that some of the issues above are, uh, what is it, continuous. Sometimes you may go up to someone who's living with you and you kindly tell them about it, like, hey, it would really help if you made sure that, I work at 6:30, so make sure that at 5:30ish you have the bathroom available so I can use it. But you start at a later date and you continually occupy the bathroom that you know that I need because the bathtub is in it. I think you're just being kind of a prick. So just time stuff better. And that's the reason why there's like two bathrooms in a house. So just don't occupy the one that you need, that you know that I need, that has the bathtub in it. That's just being rude. And there's no reason why you cannot make it to the other bathroom. So when you say that to someone, they may get defensive. It's like, no, you don't need to be getting defensive. I'm just trying to communicate to you that you're inconveniencing me. This is affecting my life. This is playing with my livelihood if I don't make it on time to work. So why would you do that to me? Just no. Be more considerate. Plan your day better. So I don't like it when people are defensive because I'm not a conflicting person, conflictive person, but there's just some people that you just absolutely cannot talk to. And although you have the same amount of power in your house, there's still that competition of, oh, well, I'm older. or well, I make more money than you. And I'm like, just because you make more money than me doesn't mean that you're paying more than me. Or, just whatever arguments they try to use against you because they cannot defend their actions, that if they behaved otherwise, we would not be having this conversation. So I think people resort to titles in society because that is the only thing in their lives that grants them power. And I'm like, wow, you really have nothing going on for you. That's crazy that you have to resort to social, what is it, establishments in your household. Like, no, when you're in this little, whatever the fuck, you're just a regular ass average person with regular ass average needs. So don't try to exercise power over me because it's not going to end well. So yeah, you guys, those are pretty much my home stressors, and I am going to try to survive two more before I take off on you guys, and I will catch up with the comments, I promise. I'm just trying to get my life together. um, let's see. Hello, Zamri, what's happening? The best job ever, when dreams come true, the things you want to do, and everyone we do what we gotta do to get jobs and take care of yourself, family, kids, and friends. Yep. I don't think that if you spend so many hours away from home, if you're struggling to make ends meet, I don't think that's fair. Like, I think that anything that you choose to spend your time on should at least give you enough to cover the very basics and be able to save just a few extra bucks to be comfortable. Um, you don't need to have a rich life to where you have like a $15,000 per year budget for bullshit like clothes, and you spend like $500 on groceries for just two people. Whatever it is that people do, that to me is outrageous. Um, but yeah, if you can do proper responsible budgeting, I don't see why nobody can not make it. But nowadays I'm finding that inflation definitely progresses much faster than our pay raises do. So I do believe that that's something that needs to change. No matter how basic, mundane, unskilled your job is, the sole fact that you're giving your time to build up somebody else's capital, that needs to be rewarded accordingly. So I don't like to think of it on the basis of skill. I like to think of it on the basis of time. People's time costs money. So if to you that doesn't matter, I think that you should be doing everything that everyone else takes care of on your behalf. You should do it yourself. You individually. Be a one man or man woman army and see what happens. But if you're an adult and you have a job and you're still struggling, even if you work endless hours, I don't think that's fair at all. That should not be happening nowadays. Uh, let's see. Where am I at? Sorry, I lost my place for some reason. Then there's no arguing that they gave me a 50 and not the 20, etc. Okay. Oh yeah, I went a little behind. People having the worst days. Others make me stop complaining for a good long time ago. Sorry, next time I'll remember to turn off your bedroom light. Honestly, the only thing I need to do is turn off the fan. But then if I don't do it, I get too hot. It's weird. I like to feel a breeze going on. I need to feel air moving. Because otherwise, I don't know. I feel weird. I'm a weird person. Everyone is weird. But I'm particularly weird. um, you might be allergic to me. I signed on you started coughing. There may be something to this theory. Am I late? No, Garuda, you only missed like, what was it? 20-ish minutes? I'm not sure at this point. But I was just discussing stuff that makes my day difficult. And basically, I divided it between work and home. I just finished the home one. So I guess you missed out on me rambling about what makes work difficult for me. But fortunately, that is preserved for posterity since I am doing it in video stream form. So feel free to go back to it. I would love to just skim through what I just went over, but I think that would drag the topic for too long. Probably not as long as I'm dragging it right now by explaining to you why I'm not doing it. Anyways, let me catch up with the comments before I keep going. Um, uh, 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 um, Time is relative. I am so slow at this stuff that when I hear about time being relative, I no longer recall what that even means. I know that I studied that being said and why that is being said, but now it's like, what does that even mean? What the fuck? I spent so much time on stuff that just doesn't make sense now. Especially since you don't practice it often, you just skills and knowledge and facts just leave you. Yes, I feel you, Emery. Every time people beating up animals or killing animals, people can go to jail for that. Yeah, totally. So, so yeah, be careful with people's pets. Most people's pets love me. Dogs literally run up to me, jump and vault themselves at me, or cats just jump on me, sleep on my lap. I guess I am just naturally tuned with animals. That's usually how I am as well, but I particularly detest the fact that I tend to attract mosquitoes. Like everyone else can be chilling, just sitting down, having a good time, and I'm over there like just beating myself up. And there seems to be a handful of us who I know in my social circle who have expressed this already. They're like, the hot season is back, and I'm already beating myself up and drawing blood from scratching myself. And I'm like, yep, that is totally me, so I know the struggle. It's crazy how some people are affected and others just aren't. Uh-oh, I crashed. Did I crash? I didn't notice. I once at a friend's house, sleeping and his big kitten jumped off a dresser onto my face. Then the cat had the nerve to start knitting my face to sleep on my face. Sorry, I came in late. Have you been crying? No, well, I have been crying, but it's been induced by fucking allergies. Like, seriously. There's really nothing in here that can trigger me to cry. The only way you guys are probably going to witness me crying is if I'm telling you the story of someone passing on or something. But now I'm fine. It's been a terrible day. I've had my episodes of going like 2 days having my sneezing situation going on. But yeah, a lot of people have reported that they're having issues too. And our weather has been kind of weird, so like it's pretty chilly for June if you ask me. At least on our side of the nation. Um let's see, where am I at? I grabbed the cat and one hand thrown the kitten back in the dresser room from the ground where I was sleeping. Later, when I woke up, the cat was sleeping on my chest. That was one playful cat. No, Zam is allergic to me. Johnny insists on saying that. Sure. And on top of that, I am allergic to Johnny. True, Zamri. I am dealing with hay fever. It is the time of the year when pollen pimp slaps me. Yep. My eye glands feel like a desert. That too. It's like there are times in which I'm just chugging and chugging and chugging on water, and it does not get any better. So, yep, just gotta ride it all out. I'm an animal lover. They're so smart and cute. Your best friends, dogs are superheroes. Yeah, I think dogs are amazing. I wish I had one, but I can barely handle Dusty right now, so I don't need a dog in my life like that. I hope you get well, Zamri. Thanks a lot. I'm sure I will get better. I just need for it to get better. And my body does whatever it needs to do. Well, guys, I hate to do this to you. I had like two more things to go over, but I'll resume this tomorrow because I just feel that my situation is getting a little worse. like, uh, like my eyes are definitely tearing up, and I'm having a serious case of like every time I say something, my throat gets like really, really dry. So yeah, I'll come back tomorrow and finish the rest. I don't have that much left to say, but I don't think I can make it to the end. So sorry, but I'll be sure to come back. Bye, Zamri. Have a blessed night. Good friend, wonderful friend. All right. Well, it was good to see you guys and hang out for a little bit, but yeah.